Welcome back, boxing fans. A late night in bed talk. So, is it a surprise that Inoue just once again beat a two-weight world champion to defend his undisputed title at 122? And yet, John Boxing comes out, and what is he doing? Trying to ridicule Inoue, discredit him, once again brings Golovkin into the conversation, a retired boxer, yet consistently he exposes himself for his racial double standard because he brings Golovkin into the conversation again to try to do what? Act as if black American fighters are somehow superior to everybody else. Because that's what this comes down to. A little man with a complex, feeling that he needs to discredit every non-black fighter to help raise black fighters. But yet, if black fighters are doing great things in the sport, you don't need to do that. Their accomplishments will speak for themselves. There's no need to ridicule and downplay people. The funny thing is, in this video, the same thing he's saying to shit on Inoue are the same thing the LDBC, a group of black American YouTubers, said about Bud Crawford. Consistently. For 5 years. These were the kind of hate arguments the LDBC used against Bud Crawford to fanboy for Errol Spence. Yet, John Boxing didn't have an issue with these guys literally shitting on a black American fighter, a pound-for-pound top fighter, by trying to discredit and hate on his resume. All so they could hype up and big up Errol Spence, who everybody that's a hardcore knew had done less in his career than Bud Crawford had. Crawford was more accomplished in every single way. Yet these guys didn't want to give him credit. They wanted to give Spence credit. So what did they do? They shit on Crawford to help build up Errol Spence. And that's what John Boxing is doing now. He's shitting on Inoue and Golovkin to try to hype up some black American fighters. Yet, you don't need to do that to hype up Bud Crawford. Every real boxing fan knows he's in the conversation for pound number one, whether you have him number one or number two. According to John, you can have a preference, but you can't have this preference. You have to have Crawford number one, or else you're a racist. Yet John can have a preference, but you can't have a preference. Remember that. See, this is where people like John expose themselves. This new age of liberal, American who thinks that they have the answer to everything, but won't allow anyone else to have their own opinions on anything, unless, it corresponds with them. It's got to be the exact same thing, and then it's acceptable. If you have a different opinion, that is unacceptable. I have Crawford pound for pound number one on my list. So trying to use any of that kind of narrative to make me look bad just makes you look stupid, because on my pound for pound list, I still have Bud Crawford pound for pound number one and Inoue at number two. I wonder where John has Devin Haney now. I wonder if Devin Haney is still at number two, or if Inoue, based on his fantastic victory today, actually elevates himself from number 6 on John's Boxing's pound for pound list to number 2. And the irony is, this was John Boxing's favorite fighter. But what's his video post-fight? Shitting on Inoue, trying to discredit his resume and downplay him. Because of course, Inoue, unlike Bud Crawford and Devin Haney, is only chasing belts, while those two fighters are chasing glory. Leave your comments below. These kind of dudes are bad for boxing, because instead of coming out and praising a fantastic performance, they're trying to find a way to discredit it. Japan, 10 world champions. Black America, 8.